Hello, I'm back. It's been a long time since I've made a video and I've got to get back into it. Makes me feel better, reaching out to people. I figured I'd do it today. I haven't made shepherd's pie in a while. I've read a couple of recipes today and it's kind of a culmination of them. Plus I'm going to put my own little twist on it in regard to the meat selection, that kind of thing. But anyway, I have a filet chopped up. I have a little bit of ribeye chopped up. I have some beef and a little bit of sausage. So I'm just going to salt and pepper it. Put in a little bit of oregano. And then I'm going to get that all mixed up. And as soon as that's all mixed up, I'm going to start making the roux to make like a little bit of a mushroom kind of sauce that'll kind of hold everything together. And then once I'm on that, we're going to go over to the stove and we're going to cook the meat and the mushrooms and the onions and make the roux to kind of thicken that up. I already have the potatoes going for the mashed potato top, and I'll be right back in a second. So I'm going to start putting by putting the chopped onions in the pan, medium-high heat. Going to get them a little, cook them until they're transparent, which is about 2 or 3 minutes. And then as soon as those are transparent, I'm going to put the garlic in and then add the meat and get that going. So the mushrooms are getting cooked, or the onions are getting cooked through. I'm going to add the mushrooms in. And this is where I'm kind of adding my own little flavor. So again, I'm going to add some mushrooms, get those cooked down until they're soft. One tip in regard to mushrooms, do not salt until the very end. I have salt and stuff in the meat here, so I'm probably not going to salt that anyway. But don't salt mushrooms until the very end because they'll get really mushy. So I'm going to put a little more olive oil in there. Get those cooked down, get the garlic in there, and I'll start cooking the meat. So while the mushrooms are cooking, I'm warming the butter so I can make a little bit of a roux. So it's even amount butter, even amount flour. And what you do is you get the butter melted and then you mix that butter in there and you cook it until that floury kind of taste is out of it. I'm gonna let that cook a little bit. Stir my mushrooms. Gonna get the garlic in here shortly. Great, everything's cooking up. I'll be right back. The mushrooms have been cooking for about 2 or 3 minutes, and so they're like cooked down enough that I'm going to go ahead and add the garlic. Add the garlic last when you're doing saute because the garlic burns very quickly. I'm going to get that mixed in there. Then I'm going to add the floury kind of taste that's cooked out of this. It's kind of bubbly at a medium consistency. So I'm going to add about a cup of milk, 3/4 cup of milk, a little bit of heavy cream because I want that to thicken up quickly. So when I get that mixed well, I'm going to get that heat up just a little bit so I can get it to thicken. Great. Okay, so that's enough with the garlic. Got the garlic flavor in there. Now I'm going to get the meat in there, and I'm going to get the meat browned up. And once that sauce thickens, I'm going to make the whole mixture. Add the peas and carrots at the very end. And then put the make the mashed potatoes and put the pies together. Be back in a minute. So the meat is almost completely browned. And this is thickening up very nicely. So the only thing I have to do to this is I'm going to add pepper, salt, and a little bit of nutmeg. And then again, for my own little kind of additional flavor, I'm going to add just a little bit of shredded Parmesan cheese. Get that heated up again, get everything stirred in there. And then the potatoes are done boiling. And the meat is all done. I'll turn that on just a little bit longer. And then we'll be back together to do the mashed potatoes and put the pies together here. So that is almost as thick as I want it. One more step here, frozen peas and carrots. I wasn't going to do the peas and carrots, but it's a little more traditional. So I figure I'll throw those in there, get those cooked through and softened. And then heating the oven to 350. And again, as soon as these kind of get cooked in there, that thickens a little bit more. I'll be back. We'll put together the mashed potatoes and the pies. Okay, the oven is preheated. I'm going to go ahead and put this in. I'm not going to put all of it in. That's really good. Well, let me go ahead and add the rest of that. Oh, that is so good. Okay, so I'm going to get that mixed through, and then I'm going to meet you at the island, and we're going to put the pies together. Back in a minute. So I have everything here. I'm going to make the mashed potatoes. You get a bigger spoon to scoop that into the dishes in a minute. So I cubed them up pretty small, so they cook pretty quickly. Always try to rinse my strainer before everything dries out. So this is how I make my normal mashed potatoes. So take note if you like a good mashed potato. So potatoes, sour cream, a couple pads of butter, nummy. I also do salt and pepper. I do love my pepper. I'm going to do some oregano. And I'm going to do a little bit of garlic powder in there, so they're like a garlicky mashed potato. So normally I use the paddle, but because I do want this whipped very finely, because I'm actually going to I'm going to bag it onto the top of the pies. So I'm going to get that in there. I'm going to get that going. Want that whipped up well. Back in a second. Done. So now I'm going to get the beef pie part of it into the ramekins. And again, you can do this in a 9x9. I didn't want to make a whole lot because it's just me, so I'll probably have one left over for tomorrow, but I'm okay with that. So get them filled as evenly as possible. And remember, it has that nice roux, that kind of thick, milky kind of thing that has nutmeg in it, which is going to make it really tasty. Wow, made a perfect amount for both of these. That's great. So I'm going to get those pressed down in there. Watson, what are you looking for? Get those pressed down in there. My gosh, that's really good. Okay, some of this stuff out of the way. See if I can do this the first time. Ta-da. Right in there. Awesome. So fold the bag down. Gonna get that up there. See if I can get some of that potatoes off of there. Yeah, these are nice and finely whipped. This is also how I like to do it if I, yummy. It's how I like to do it if I'm going to make a twice baked potato. Yeah, they're so creamy. That sour cream and butter. I used to use milk, but I found that milk, made them a little more runny. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. Oh, it's not piping on oh, there it goes. Yeah, I could have probably whipped it just a little bit more, but We'll get there. I'm going to bend open the tip just a little bit to get a little more of that out of there. I may have actually gotten the wrong tip, but I'll bend it open just a little bit in case there are some, probably could have whipped it a little bit longer. There we go. Add a little bit more to that, a little bit more of that around the edges, a little bit more around the edges, a little more of a dollop on top. A little for me. For me. Okay, now, got a little sheet here, tin foil on it. I'm gonna put those right there. I know, don't they smell great? And I'm gonna put these in the oven for about 15 minutes. I'm excited to eat one of these. That's the first time, the last time I just did the beef mixture and that, but I wanted to add a little more of that creaminess to it, and I think with that Parmesan cheese in there, that's gonna add a nice dynamic. So we'll be right back to finish them off. So it's baked for almost 15 minutes. I'm going to turn the oven off, and I'm gonna turn the broiler on just for a couple of minutes. To see if I can crisp up and brown up those potatoes a little bit more, and then we'll be right back to finish everything off. So I'm going to turn the broiler off. It's starting to get a little brown and crispy on top. I really like that. So I'm going to pull those out. Oh, those look really, really good. They're bubbling up a little bit. That means they're nice and juicy. Okay, so I'm going to turn those off. So there is a little bit of browning on there, but I always like to, I don't mess around. Just to get a little bit of that crispy crust on top, a little bit of, what it does is it highlights the piping on. Oh yeah. Oh, that smells really good. Oh, wish you guys could be here. I would definitely share the one. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put that on my little plate. And when you put it on a plate, make sure you have a little bit of a wet paper towel there. That way you it doesn't slide around. So I'm going to see if I can get a really good shot to show that. And I want you to enjoy. Have a good night.